Don't move.
I don't need to move. You will all come to me.
The story begins with a nurse in Houston named Rose. She's writing to her friend about her boyfriend proposing to her. Rose is as happy as ever. Suddenly, the girl starts feeling sick, and a strange guy comes up to her and says, "The name of the horseman is Death, and hell follow with him." Badly wounded, Rose falls to the ground, and her friend calls for a doctor. 7 years go by. In New Mexico, two radio astronomers, Vera and Alan, detect activity in space. They notice that a meteorite is approaching Earth. At the same time in Mexico, a guy named Raul Garcia, an undercover FBI agent, is trying to return home to the USA after a secret mission. Armed colleagues promise to take him home, but Raul doesn't trust them much. At the same moment, a young woman named Erin Calder is taking her 7-year-old daughter Amy to school. Erin's ex-husband keeps calling and argues that he wants to take the daughter with him. Elsewhere, a second-generation televangelist preacher and recovered addict Joshua Silper Jr. is getting ready for his first public appearance. His pregnant wife is actively supporting him. While Joshua preaches, a huge meteorite plummets to Earth from space. It's noticed by a troubled student and orphan named Peter. He is constantly bullied by his schoolmates, but this time, a cute classmate stands up for him. All these people have no idea that a terrible secret will soon connect them. Radio astronomer Vera also observes the meteorite falling not far from her in a desert of New Mexico, sending out a shock wave. It affects Vera, and she loses her consciousness. The waves also affect Raul in Mexico, Erin, who is driving her car, Peter, who is swimming in the pool, and preacher Joshua on stage. Each of them doesn't just lose consciousness but stops breathing. While those around them try to revive them, a man rises from the crater at the crash site, clearly brought by the meteorite. Suddenly, all those who lost consciousness miraculously come back to life, but changes have occurred within them, changes that they haven't yet realized. Erin is the most unlucky. She was driving during the attack. Her car is now wrecked, and her little daughter is rushed to the hospital in critical condition. Erin is horrified and blames herself. Raul starts experiencing severe headaches, during which he hears the thoughts of those around him, thoughts that threaten his life. However, Raul defends himself and manages to overcome his adversaries. Would you want to have the superpower of reading minds? Share your opinion in the comments. By evening, the injured Raul secretly crosses the Mexico-US border. Erin arrives at the hospital, where doctors are fighting for her daughter's life. Her ex-husband also arrives, furious and threatening to send Erin to jail if anything happens to their daughter. Meanwhile, the man from the meteorite walks along the road. He encounters a motorist and forcibly takes his clothes. For now, no one realizes the danger this newcomer poses. Radio astronomer Vera calls the base in Houston. They assure her that there was no meteorite impact. It seems the authorities want to cover up the incident, but why? Vera and Alan decide to investigate the incident themselves. They arrive at the site of the meteorite crash and feel the shock. Friends spot a massive hole in the ground and find a meteorite fragment nearby. Military helicopters swarm to the location. Soon, the military drives away the astronauts without explanation. Preacher Joshua goes live and shares how God took his life for a few minutes and then resurrected him. During his unconsciousness, Joshua had a vision of the future, a terrifying war and apocalypse. Joshua now believes he's a divine messenger. Would you believe your friend if they suddenly claimed something like this? The others affected by the meteorite impact also feel superhuman abilities. However, their gifts have side effects on their bodies unless all of them are united. Peter stands up to aggressive classmates for the first time. However, he underestimates his power, and one of the bullies passes away. Erin weeps over her daughter Amy, who's in a coma. Suddenly, Erin's tears heal the child, and Amy wakes up. Erin secretly takes her daughter out of the hospital to prevent her ex-husband from taking her. In the mirror, Erin notices she has angelic wings. Soon, Erin's ex-husband discovers the girl is missing and launches a search. Peter also sees wings in his reflection. He decides to leave town urgently to avoid police finding him after his encounter with the bully. By evening, Alan brings Vera home and hands her the meteorite fragment, which he secretly took from the military. The piece of stone must be studied to uncover the military's secret. Vera enters her home and finds an unknown man in her bedroom. It's the same visitor from the meteorite, though Vera doesn't know that yet. She's terrified and about to call the police, but the visitor knows something about Vera's son, who went missing 7 years ago. He shows Vera a video of her son on her computer. The visitor promises to reveal where Vera can find her son, but first, he needs her help. Preacher Joshua returns home. His wife confesses that she had an affair with his father and is now carrying his child. Joshua can't accept it and leaves the house. Meanwhile, wounded Raul attempts to get home and unexpectedly learns he's being hunted by the police. Without much thought, he jumps into a car with Erin, who happens to be passing by. He threatens her with a gun and demands she takes him to Houston. However, Erin senses Raul is not a threat, just deeply frightened. In Vera's house, the man asks her to take care of Rose, the woman who was shot 7 years ago and has been in a coma since then. The man claims that Rose is incredibly dangerous to humanity. However, Vera isn't ready for such a deal. But in that case, the man won't reveal to Vera where her son is. Vera is forced to accept his demand and heads to Houston. For various reasons, the other chosen individuals also make their way to Houston. For instance, Preacher Joshua has a vision of the meteorite's fall and the unknown man traveling to Houston. It doesn't seem like a mere coincidence. From his visions, Joshua also learns that the man is a devil incarnate, and he shouldn't be trusted as he manipulates other people to try to carry out his wishes. However, the man has already entered Rose's hospital room. Vera enters Rose's room as well. The man instructs her to use a pillow to terminate the poor woman's life. Yet Vera struggles with the gruesome task. In a chilling reminder, the man mentions Vera's son, who was abducted from an airport 7 years ago. Noticing her son's toy in his hand, Vera has a sudden realization that the man is the very kidnapper. But with no other choice, she has to carry out the task on Rose. However, Rose suddenly regains consciousness. She angrily speaks to the man in an unknown language, and it disappears. Rose disconnects all the tubes and plans to escape the hospital with Vera. Meanwhile, Raul's condition worsens due to his injuries. Erin decides to take him to a hospital in Houston. Joshua's visions also draw him to the Houston hospital, and from there he heads to the chapel. Fate also brings the hungry teenager Peter to the same place. In the hospital, a doctor tends to Raul's wounds. He regains consciousness and realizes he needs to hide before the police arrive. Erin accidentally uses her gift on him, healing his wound. The group then flees to hide in the chapel. Here, by chance, everyone affected by the meteorite crosses paths. Rose reveals to them the truth that they are angels of the apocalypse. At first, nobody believed her, but Rose knows the gathered individuals by name and understands how the meteorite affected each one of them. She assures them that the rapture is imminent. God will take the righteous to heaven and leave the sinners on earth, but the messengers can prevent this if they unite their gifts. Rose's superpower is the ability to understand all languages in the world, while Vera's ability is still unknown, and she doesn't believe Rose. Suddenly, Joshua has a vision. He wants to tell his friends about it, but nurses burst into the chapel looking for Rose, and the group is forced to split up. Joshua joins Vera because in his vision, he saw her son and he's able to help find him. Erin becomes fond of Raul and drives him to his brother. On their way, they're pursued by the police. Raul reads the policeman's thoughts and learns that Erin's ex-husband demanded her arrest for kidnapping their child. Raul attacks the policeman and helps Erin avoid being arrested. Joshua and Vera find the house from his vision. This is where they need to start their search for Vera's son. They discover an injured Afghanistan veteran occupying the house, but he's not home at the moment. Vera refuses to take it seriously and leaves. Meanwhile, the man finds the veteran and offers to play chess for money. Raul arrives at his brother's house and finds it in complete chaos. He encounters his niece Nadia, who is not pleased to see him. Just moments ago, thugs who used to be Raul's friends stormed into the house and took her dad. Now Raul must save his brother and earn Nadia's trust. Thugs break into the house again, this time for Raul, but he quickly deals with the situation. The man and the veteran head to the park to play chess. Joshua sees this in his visions and follows them. He's convinced that the veteran not only knows where to find Vera's son, but can also help prevent the rapture. However, the devilish man has gained the veteran's trust and found out he was a friend of the senator's son. The senator is the person the man is seeking to trigger a series of catastrophic events leading to the apocalypse. The veteran is no longer useful in this chain, but he can help the messengers. That's why the man ruthlessly defeats the veteran in chess and takes his last money. Disappointed with her search for her son, Vera goes to Alan to continue researching the meteorite and the crater where it fell. But Alan has already gone to the desert and found that the crater is no longer there. At that very moment, right before Vera's eyes, the distraught veteran gets hit by a bus. She can't save him in time and loses hope of finding her son. She realizes that the man is to blame for everything. In the evening, all the messengers coincidentally meet at a bar named the Last Supper Bar Grill. Skeptical Vera still refuses to believe in coincidences and a grand mission, but reality is clearly pointing in that direction. Rose announces that they have a mission. They must find and stop the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. The first of the horsemen is war. Someone among the people influenced by the devil is planning to start the greatest and most merciless war. Rose is certain that the veteran was a puzzle piece they needed to save. She calls upon the messengers to pay closer attention to the signs. They all look into mirrors and see wings behind them. Vera is particularly impressed by this. Suddenly, Joshua has a vision of the veteran's funeral, a statue with a sword and some Arab figure. This means that the horseman of war is nearby. Then the messengers disperse again. Raul remembers that many years ago, he and his brother were involved in illegal business. Since then, they'd had problems with local gangs. Raul must deal with them while Aaron looks after his niece and her daughter. Vera also leaves to investigate the meteorite fragment, but she doesn't suspect that someone is following her. In an abandoned building, the man meets with the mafia boss who holds Raul's brother captive. He suggests that the gangster should bring the captive to this building tonight in order to lure Raul into a trap and finish him off. Aaron continues to watch over the girls. They decide to light a fire in the fireplace using a newspaper. On the front page, Aaron notices a photo of a person who matches Joshua's vision description. He turns out to be the Prime Minister of Afghanistan, who is arriving in Houston today. Vera and Alan head to the laboratory of the leading planetary geology expert, Leo, to examine the meteorite fragment. This meeting is not easy for Vera, as she and Leo were once a couple, and he is the father of her kidnapped son. During the early stages of her pregnancy, Vera intended to tell him she was pregnant. However, it was on that very day that Leo left her without ever finding out. In their meeting with Leo, Vera doesn't try to appear friendly, but it turns out that Leo is now using a wheelchair, which softens Vera's anger. During this time, Raul continues to search for his brother, questioning old acquaintances among the gang members. His ability to read thoughts greatly aids him in this endeavor. However, Raul is in no rush to use his superpower to save the world. When Aaron asks him to come and read the thoughts of the Afghanistan Prime Minister, who is currently visiting a mosque in Houston, Raul refuses. Rose and Aaron are sent to monitor the Prime Minister instead. Only Raul cares about now is finding his brother. The man is waiting for him in his car. He promises to lead Raul to his brother if he reveals the messenger's mission. Raul has no choice but to betray his friends. In the mosque, Rose overhears the Prime Minister's words and learns about his plans. He is planning something for which many will criticize him, but he believes God will be on his side. Perhaps the Prime Minister is the horseman of war. This is supported by the fact that the devilish visitor shakes his hand. Vera and Alan continue to converse with Leo about the meteorite. Astronomers don't know the reason authorities are hiding the location of the meteorite impact, but they are certain that the meteorite is very special. Alan goes to conduct experiments on the fragment, and Leo explains why he actually left Vera 9 years ago. At that time, Leo discovered he had Huntington's disease, a genetic disorder that would eventually leave him unable to walk, and he feared passing it on to his children. However, he doesn't know he already has a son. Vera's heart softens. She forgives Leo, but she doesn't reveal the existence of the child. Alan conducts 3 analyses on the fragment and discovers that besides the elements known to humans, it contains one unknown element. Everyone goes to the lab to marvel at this wonder, but they find the fragment has been stolen. In the hallway, Vera notices a suspicious man and chases after him. He enters a room where Vera doesn't have access. She pounds on the door and suddenly passes through it. She doesn't manage to catch the man, but she memorizes his license plate number. Then Vera returns to the door and sees her body separate from herself. Her friends try to revive her, but she's not breathing. Vera calls out to her friends, but no one hears her. When she touches herself, she suddenly comes back to life. Her superpower has finally manifested. The group of messengers attends the veteran's funeral, hoping to piece together the puzzle of signs. The state senator announces that she'll meet with the Prime Minister of Afghanistan tomorrow. After that, the senator shakes hands with the appearing devilish man. The friends suspect that the senator might also be one of the horsemen of the apocalypse. In the evening, the man brings Raul to an abandoned building. Raul's brother is here, bound with explosives. The mafia leader is about to press the detonator button, and it's too late to save him. The brother asks Raul to leave and take care of Nadia. Miraculously, Raul manages to run away and survive. The man emerges from the fire and gives him a frightening look. The man who stole the meteorite fragment delivers the stone to a secret government laboratory. Here, scientists reconstruct the devil's meteorite from all the fragments. But why did they need it? In the evening, the messengers gather at a bar and try to figure out what's going on. They don't exactly know who the horseman of the apocalypse is, the senator or the prime minister of Afghanistan. The man is clearly linked to both of them. The friends plan to attend a summit tomorrow, where all the suspects will gather. Vera asks Alan to find out who stole the fragment and goes to join the other messengers. With Rose, they discuss Vera's newly manifested power, the spirit walking. Saddened Raul also joins his friends. He shares his ordeal and tells them about his encounter with the devilish man. In exchange for information about his brother, Raul told the man all about the messengers and their plans. He considers himself a traitor. Rose doesn't blame him, believing that the man didn't leave the guy with a choice, and asks him to stick close to the other messengers. The friends gather and sit in silence. Peter hears singing outside and goes to check it out. Suddenly, the police arrive at the house, grab Peter, and take him to the station for attacking a classmate. The other messengers are bewildered because without Peter, they can't save humanity. That was the beginning of the TV series, The Messengers. I like this mythical story about humanity's saviors. The show takes the overused idea of an apocalypse and presents it from a fresh angle, and the biblical prophecies add a unique interest to the story. I also appreciated how the plot lines intertwined. It creates a feeling that we are all connected. What do you think? Can the messengers find and stop all the horsemen of the apocalypse? And how is the government, which is hiding the meteorite crash, connected to all of this? Let's discuss this in the comments.